to any of my fellow pumpkin spice latte girlies, how are you doing in the first week that it's gone? How are you coping? How are you feeling? Have you been sleeping? Because I'm doing okay, and I just want to make sure that I'm there to support you in your emotional well-being. So back to white chocolate mochas it is, but we miss you, PSL. Until next year, Godspeed. Hey guys, we are back with another one, and this week I am all about starting the new year off on a roll. I want to keep the good times going. I feel like I've said that in the last couple of videos, but here's where my head was at as far as our reading challenge this week. My last reading challenge, if you haven't read it, was letting random races choose my reads. And we did these races that chose whether I was going to read for between like 1 hour and 6 hours a day. And I only got 2 hours one day. The rest of the days were all 4 and 5 hours. And besides for the fact that I finished 5 books in 1 week, like mind-blowing success, okay? Besides for that little win, it also made me intrinsically aware that on the days where I read for 4 hours, I completed my time and felt perfectly fine. I had no brain fog. I was still sharp. I honestly was like, wow, that was a good day of reading. That was a productive day of reading. I absorbed what I read. I remembered what I read. I was still on by the end of the day. But one of those days I had to read for 5 hours. And at the end of that day, I send in the video like, your girl is struggling. Like besides for the fact that I was like slowly descending into a cold in that video, I, by the end of 5 hours, felt super slow, found myself, my page per minute count, or my page per hour count, I should say, started rapidly descending. I wasn't absorbing as much. I had to go back and review as I was reading. I found myself in one of those brain fogs where I was like, wait, I'd get to the end of the page and then I'd realize, like, what did I just read? Like, I have no idea what I just read. I was kind of zoned out. So it was this interesting realization that like 4 hours might just be my daily sweet spot for productive reading. And because I had that realization, I kind of want to test it. So I think this week what we're going to do is we are going to try to read for 4 hours per day all week. And when I say all week, for anyone that's new to my videos, I mean like today through like 5 or 6 days. I never mean the full 7 days, because day 7 is the day that I like edit and upload. So for the next 5 to 6 days, I'm going to attempt to read 4 hours per day. And there's two metrics I want to see. One is how many books I can get finished this week. And 2 is, how do I mentally feel at the end of the day? If I can narrow in on the fact that 4 hours is my mental reading sweet spot, that's like invaluable information for my reading weekly. So let's go ahead and jump into it and see how this goes. So right now I am reading Behind the Net on my Kindle, and don't even start with me. Just leave me alone, leave me be, let me be happy. Don't start, because I can already hear what you're all going to say. Lindsay, that's not on the TBR you just selected. It's not. It is what? January 4th. And I've already deviated from my TBR. And there's really no legitimate excuse other than I finished the book I was previously reading from the end of the year. And I cannot explain, like, when you're just like sitting around and all of a sudden you get this like unexplainable craving for a certain type of snack or food. Like, you're just sitting there and then all of a sudden you can't stop thinking about pasta. And you're like, no, I need to have pasta tonight. Like, I've been thinking about it all day. I need to have it. It's my craving. For some reason, I finished my previous book, which was a YA mystery thriller, and I could not stop like thinking about like a hockey romance. I don't know why. I'm craving a hockey romance. I'm in the mood for a hockey romance. And one of my resolutions in the new year is I'm not going to fight my proclivities and what I want to read when I want to read, because I have figured out that that contributes to putting me in reading slumps. So I'm going to TBR when I don't like a book. What? I'm going to DNF when I don't like a book, and I am going to not fight my reading cravings. And I was craving a hockey romance. So we are currently reading Behind the Net. It's adorable so far. And today, at the start of our 4 hours, we are starting on page 135. So I will check back in either when I have an update for you in the book, when I finish the book, or when I am at the end of my 4 hours. So I will see you then. Okay, welcome to Friday, the next day. I had to check what day it was. Welcome to Friday. Sorry I didn't update a ton yesterday, but there wasn't much going on. So I did complete my 4 hours of reading yesterday, and I also completed Behind the Net. This book was so good. It was so good. Like, I'm grinning. Like, it was so cute. I gave this 4.5 stars. And what it's basically about is our female main character, Pippa, who just got dumped by her. He was a long-term boyfriend, but I think for like a while they did the like are we aren't we thing where they were kind of like on again, off again, but she just got dumped in a super embarrassing, demoralizing way by her long-term boyfriend, who she had kind of like given up a lot of things to be with and to support him to make their relationship work. And because she got dumped, she was couch surfing on her sister's couch in Vancouver for a while, and she got fired from her job at the hot dog hut, which is like hysterical to me, because why wouldn't she get fired from her job at the hot dog hut? And her sister is a physical therapist for a hockey team in Vancouver, and is able to score Pippa a job working as the assistant for the goalie of the Vancouver NHL, like professional hockey team. And she becomes the assistant for Jamie Stryker, who is the goalie. And it turns out they kind of know each other from high school, when they went to high school. So the story evolves from there. I don't want to give away anything, but like, this was the perfect example of a mature, well-written romance. For me, I think if you have watched my reviews of any other romances, you probably already know this, but for me, romance is one of my favorite genres, and I love a good sports romance, but it has to be done properly for me. I'm just saying, for me, personal opinion. It has to be done properly for me to enjoy it. I can't do cringe because I get ruthless secondhand embarrassment that just makes me want to like just curl up in a corner and die. Like, I can't do it. So that is the problem I have with a lot of romance, and more specifically, a lot of rom-com. I cannot do rom-com books because they just make me cringe so bad. It removes all the enjoyment from the book. And for a romance to be done properly for me, it needs to have great dialogue, great non-cheesy banter, and the storyline has to be done in a believable way with characters that are able to articulate and have normal person conversations. And so often, the battle of the furnace loving to kick on whenever I'm filming continues. So just ignore that. It is like 20 degrees outside today, and we're supposed to get a big snowstorm out this weekend. So the furnace is working overtime, guys. So what really struck me about this book is that the characters are likable, and it's done in a very mature way where there isn't any cheesy third act breakup where it's like, you didn't return my phone calls, get out of my life. And you're like, you're 30. Like, honestly, that removes so much enjoyment. And this is a perfect example of two characters that are able to have a perfectly mature, normal conversation and develop a relationship, or if it didn't work out, like a friendship from there. And the other thing I really loved about this book was the way that Jamie loved Pippa. He loves her in the perfect combination of protective and respectful. I've said this before also, for me, a lot of these like broody, grumpy, macho, alpha, main male characters, there is like a very thin line between alpha and broody and just a straight up asshole where like your behavior is just indefensible sometimes. And Jamie is great. He's kind of like broody and grumpy, and he's certainly alpha, and he's certainly like, what's the word? Like, I don't want to say like dominating in a bad way, but like he's certainly like the perfect dominating main male, like, I don't know, just like very masculine to the point where it's attractive, but he's not degrading and infantilizing Pippa in any way. I remember there's this part of the book where she has to confront this person from her past, and her sister goes to step in for her and be like, hey, what's going on here? And like fight her battles. And Jamie, the main character, holds her sister back and says like, Pippa's got this. Like, we're here if she does need us, but let's let her do it. Let's let her fight her battles, and we'll be here in case she needs us. And I loved that. I was like, he's there for support, but like he respects her so much that he's like, she's got this. Like, I'm here to help her if she needs it, but I have confidence in her that she's got this. And I just really, really appreciated like that character trait of him. And I think that's kind of something that I personally love. So yeah, so the book is adorable. I definitely recommend it. Please go read it. It's cute. It's Kindle Unlimited. Banter's great. Mature relationship. The perfect combination of broody and supportive main male character. It was very, very, very cute. So let's look at my stats from yesterday. Like I said, I did read for 4 straight hours. Well, not straight. I read for 4 total hours. There you go. I started Behind the Net on page 135, and I did complete it, which is, let's see. I think it was 403, 406. I don't remember exactly. Low 4s. So according to my calculations, I read a total of 268 pages. That's not too bad. What is that page per hour? So let's see, 60 times 4, 240. And I read 200, so that's 268 pages in 240 minutes. That's not bad at all. I do average about 60 pages an hour, so I do average a page a minute. And like I've said several times, I do read a lot quicker on my Kindle, so 268 and 240 minutes makes sense to me. So finished our first book for the week. So moving on to our 4 hours of reading today. It is currently 11:18. I did just get back from work, so I had a couple of things I needed to do today. So because I finished Behind the Net, I have to think about what I'm going into today. And right now I kind of have 2 options. I'm thinking about jumping into From Blood and Ash by JLA, which, by the way, if you watched my last video, one of the times I'm talking about this book when I'm talking about prioritizing it in 2024 is I said, Miss Jennifer Lynn Armentrout. And then I was like, no, Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I joked about if her middle name is Lynn, now I just look like I know a lot about JLA. And one of your amazing comments was that her middle name is Lynn. So that was unintentional, but apparently I was correct. So Jennifer Lynn Armentrout. And I guess this comment below, I'll go ahead and post it right here. I guess the person said that she does write like steamy romances under another author pen name, was it J. Lynn? I think so. There you go. So I'm thinking about jumping into From Blood and Ash, but The more and more I think about it, the more I think I'm going to jump into Ruthless Vows. I think it's going to happen. I think this is the direction we need to go. Not only because I am absolutely dying to read this. So, funny story about this. The last video I recorded, I actually made a joke that this might even be sitting on my front porch right now because it was, according to the tracking, supposed to be delivered that day. And long story short, after a couple of trips to the post office and UPS, it just never showed up. And every single day that I check my tracking, it just says it's supposed to be delivered that day. So for the last week, the delivery date just keeps changing, but it's never getting delivered. So I don't know what happened. They think the package might have gotten lost, but I just drove to Barnes & Noble and just grabbed a copy myself, which realistically is probably what I'm going to do from now on. I really don't understand the entire concept of pre-ordering on Barnes & Noble. For anyone who does it, it doesn't make sense. You get your books a week later than if you just drive yourself to the store and get it. I guess for people who live further away from a Barnes, but I have one 15 minutes from me, so I'll just drive from now on. Pre-ordering from Barnes & Noble is pointless. Separate rant. But I went out and I got a separate copy, and this book needs to be delivered to my aunt ASAP. So I think we're going to dive into this one first so that I can complete this and pass it along to her. So this is what we're going to be doing today. Let's go get it started.
Set a little wide pin and he slipped it, and when he slipped it, the extra defender had to give a little help opening up a wide.
Okay. We have things to discuss. Actually, okay, now we have things to discuss. So, spread everywhere. This week has kind of gone off the rails. So let's just get down to business, okay? So I actually thought about scrapping this video and just kind of not doing it because I got off track. This is now, I think the last time I checked in was Friday morning. And now it is Monday morning. So I thought about being you know what? Just scrap the footage. We'll just start today. We'll just do the whole 4 hours a day thing this week. But here's the pickle I've gotten myself into. I actually haven't been doing that badly with the reading. It's just been the filming that hasn't kind of worked out. So I will go ahead and insert some footage here. But Saturday into Sunday, we got a pretty decent snowstorm, which meant that Friday evening, Saturday morning, I had to get ready for the snowstorm. You know, you have to do the whole, for anyone from the Northeast, or really North anything, you have to do the whole snowpocalypse preparation, right? Where you have to go to the store, you have to do the grocery shopping, you have to get your house ready, you have to clean out the yard, you have to do all that fun stuff, get your driveway ready. So that was Friday into Saturday. Saturday, Sunday was the actual storm. I have two boys, I'm always discussing. They wanted to play in the snow. They wanted to do all the things. And it wasn't that I wasn't reading. I was just kind of reading on the fly, which meant that I wasn't filming. So I've actually been staying, not perfectly, but relatively up to date with my 4 hours a day. And it just seemed like such a shame to scrap it all because I've been doing all right. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to chalk this week up to real life. This is real life, guys. There's things going on, and sometimes reading is a mobile activity for me, right? My kids are out sledding, or I'm doing something and I'm reading in the car, or I'm catching 30 minutes here and 40 minutes there, and it's not always ideal to sit down and set up the camera and do a time lapse and read and stuff like that. So we are going to keep going. We are going to keep trudging ahead, keep plowing ahead with this video. Or we're just gonna extend it a day or two more and get some more B-roll and get some more footage for you guys. But let's go over what I have been up to the last couple of days, because like I said, I haven't done that badly. So let's just do a full recap. I started filming this video on Thursday. I completed my 4 hours. I did 268 total pages, and I finished Behind the Net. Woke up Friday, didn't film, but over Friday and into Saturday, I completed my 4 hours. So I didn't do 4 hours both days, but over Friday and Saturday, between preparing for the storm, I did complete my 4 hours in 2 days. I read a total of 185 pages, and I got 185 pages into Ruthless Vows. So that was good, but didn't complete the book. Woke up Sunday, and while I watched the beautiful storm going on outside my window, I did read and complete my 4 hours. This is what I'm talking about. I'm doing it, just not filming it, because it's not very interesting to watch as I run around and do other things. So I did complete my 4 hours yesterday, which was Sunday. I read 224 pages of Ruthless Vows and 36 pages of the new book that I picked up, which is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I say Huang. Is it Huang? Huang? Twisted Love by Anna. We're at a first name basis now. So I did complete my 4 hours, and that brings us to today, which is Monday morning. I actually already started my timer. I was like, what am I going to do with this? Even if I had scrapped the footage and we had started from scratch, I still would have had to start the 4 hour timer. So I did start the 4 hour timer, and I read for 30 minutes this morning between bringing my kids to school and stuff like that. So I think we're going to trudge on, and it's going to be okay. We're going to restart today. Basically, Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of messed us up, but I really only lost a couple of hours of actual reading time. So what we're going to do is say, you know what? This is real life. This is real. Sometimes I can read for 4 hours a day. Sometimes I can't. I guess I failed the reading for 4 hours a day challenge, but the original plan was just to go from Thursday to like Monday. Maybe what we'll do now, in light of what happened over the weekend, we'll do like Thursday to Tuesday or Wednesday. I think we could kind of extend the video and do fine. But I have completed 2 books already this week, and I've started my 3rd. So it hasn't been a failure. So we are 30 minutes into today's 4 hours. I have some time today. I'm going to complete it. However, I am getting my new computer delivered, which I'm very, very excited about. I'm very excited about. As part of like our Christmas gifts to myself, my husband and I ordered a brand new Mac Studio. It's going to be good for him. He's in his master's program, so it's going to be good for him for school. It's going to be good for me for work and editing. So that is coming today. Maybe we'll do a little setup section, a little break from reading to set it up when it does come in. But you know what? I think this is going to be a good intake or a good insight into what reading looks like on different days for different people in different lives. So this weekend, it was momming, northeastering, winter timing. So let's go ahead and just pick up today fresh. You can always start a new day, new attitude, new timeline. So let's start today fresh and jump right into some time-lapse reading of Twisted Love. It's here. Oh, my Mac Studio. Okay, so that interrupted our reading, which is fine. Let's go ahead and set her up. Okay, so step 1 is cleaning off my desk, which is honestly probably going to be the hardest part of this entire process. So wish me luck. Tuesday morning, and I wanted to check in with you guys about my reading yesterday. So yesterday, Monday, was my first day like back on track, and I did complete my 4 hours, which is awesome. I read from page like, I think I said like 36-ish, I'm pretty sure, in Twisted Love to page 270. So in my 4 hours, I did complete 234 pages, and I only have that little sliver left. So I will be finishing Twisted Love during my reading today, which is awesome. That will be book 3 for the week, I think. And I still have a couple days left because we're adding our days when I slacked off because of the storm. So I will be finishing this today and moving on, and I'm honestly have no idea where I want to go from here, but that's a problem for later. However, we are not going to do our reading right now because it is Tuesday, which means it is new release day, and I have to run to Barnes & Noble to grab a couple of things for videos and for new releases that I need. So we're going to take a quick jaunt over to Barnes & Noble, and then we will come home and start our reading. Also, I realized I never gave you guys an update or a rating, I don't think, for Ruthless Vows. I got so distracted by how off track I had gotten that I'm going to have to record that. So let's go ahead and run to Barnes & Noble, and when we get home, we'll give my thoughts on Ruthless Vows.
The trees, they are singing to the tune of a song, and the wind is gently ringing.
Okay, so I just officially finished Twisted Love, so I am all done with this one. Another book down, all done. So I'm sitting here looking at my monthly TBR stack. I kind of keep my TBR here just so I can see it. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go next. This is actually 2 different copies of the same book. This is the original indie published of From Blood and Ash, and it's super stiff. I found this one at Target, and check this baby out. Oh yeah. So I have 2 of them. I think I would read this one. So I'm like looking, and I am kind of feeling a fantasy. So what do I go into next? I could do From Blood and Ash. I could do Scythe, I could do Neon Gods, Shatter Me, Serpent and Dove. I don't know what I do. I feel like I can finish Shatter Me pretty quick, but I really want to go into From Blood and Ash. I think I'm going to go with what I want to do, and I'm going to start From Blood and Ash, so we have officially 2 hours and 52 minutes left for our 4 hours of reading today. So I'm going to go ahead and start From Blood and Ash in this beautiful copy, this beautiful floppy copy. Floppy copy, I like that. So let's go get to it.
The morning, the welcome of the dawn. The voice of the robin, the call of the dove, the red leaves are falling, the barn owl is calling, the welcome of the dawn. The dogs will be howling in the early morning light. All are happy to be out in the ending of the night, the welcome of the dawn. The nights are turning colder, soon fall.
All right. Next morning, I am coming to you with crazy 80s hair that I slept on wet last night and in my Skims pajama shirt because we're just chatting right? Like we just had a sleepover and you're just chatting with me about my reads yesterday. No one to impress here, obviously. Sorry that I don't get all put together, but we're just hanging around my house reading today. So why would I? But I did finish my 4 hours yesterday, and I think today is going to probably be the last day I'm doing this. I think I have another 4-hour read in me today, and I think I have enough time to do it. So I think today is going to be the last 4 hours I do for this particular video. But let's talk about where I ended up yesterday. So I am reading For Blood and Ash. This is that special edition that or not special, I don't think, but that newly published edition that I found at Target that I haven't seen literally anywhere else, but it's beautifully floppy. This is the indie printed edition that I had. I don't know if you can see the difference. The indie printed edition, and this one is like really, really stiff and hard to read. The pages kind of don't stay open. It's a little bit smaller. This one is like beautifully floppy and easier to read. However, I also do own the book on my Kindle. So once it got dark last night and I would have had to bust out my reading light, which ends up for some reason putting me to sleep. I don't know why. I busted it out on the Kindle. So if you are reading this version, I made it to page 123. If you are reading the original indie published version, I made it to page 176, depending on what you're reading. And I've got to be honest with you, I am really, really liking this. It is a little bit slow. I wouldn't say slow because things are happening, but things right now that are happening aren't that like action packed. This is just stuff you can tell you're going to need for later. The first 100 in this particular version, like 115 pages were a lot of like learning the characters, learning the world, some circumstances that are going to play into furthering the story later. But for some reason yesterday, I don't know if this is a case of like my brain starting to get saturated from reading so much or if it's the story. It could be either. I found myself a little lost at parts and having to like go back and read pages because I'm like, what? I don't even know what I just read. What just happened? Or like they'd talk about a character and I'd forget who the character was. So I'd have to go back and look it up. So I didn't do my normal like page per minute count because I was backtracking a little bit, but it is good. And now that I'm at page 123 in this version, that's chapter 11, I'm starting to get into the meat of the story and I'm really liking it. So we're going to continue with For Blood and Ash today. I don't realistically, I think there's like, in this version, there's like 450 something pages, 460 something pages. So I don't realistically think I'm going to finish this today, but I should make a really good dent in it. I am, that far in, if you can see it. So let's get reading. Guys, just like that, we have come to the end of the week. I just finished my 4 hours for today, and I did not finish From Blood and Ash, but I made a really, really good dent in it, and that's going to kind of compile what I'm calling our week, but it's really been like 9 days. But I did a really, really, really horrible job of giving you guys my thoughts on the last couple of books I finished. I feel like I was on it in the first book, and then when I got to Ruthless Vows, I was so hyper-focused on like getting my 4 hours done that I didn't do a very good job of keeping you guys updated about my thoughts as I read. So let's go over it. So going back to Ruthless Vows, this book was amazing. I believe, let me look it up. I believe I gave this 4.5 on Goodreads, but let us confirm. How is it that a week has somehow felt like a month? I'm like sitting here. My boys and my dog are upstairs running around. They are so loud. There's just no chill in my house. I gave this 4.75 stars. I am going to be honest with you. This is going to be a hot take. This is a little controversial. I think I liked this better than Divine Rivals. Divine Rivals at points was just a little bit slow to me. And like I discussed before, I just found that there were almost like two stories going on like side by side in that one where like you had Iris and Roman and what was going on with them. And then you had this like war with the gods. And for some reason there was a disconnect in that one for me that I didn't really understand how they went together and why the two things were happening. They were just kind of like simultaneously going on, but I didn't love it and it was a little slow. If you felt that way while you were reading Divine Rivals, Ruthless Vows is going to show you how the two things come together. And I loved this. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't get very emotional when I read books. Like, I'm not like a crier when I'm reading. Very, very rarely. I think I might have done it once. I'm not. This one gave me feelings. Like, this one was amazing. I am not going to say much about the actual synopsis because I'll save it for my wrap up and I don't want to give away anything for anyone. But just know, for me, this was better than Divine Rivals, and it is sitting at a 4.75 stars. So this is a good one. So after Ruthless Vows, we went straight into Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This one was really, really good. I ended up giving this one, let's see, this one was 3.75 stars. And I stand behind that. Like, I rate on Goodreads directly after I finish. Like, I close the book, I rate on Goodreads, I figure out which book I'm going next. So sometimes after sitting with it, my ratings change a little bit and I have to go back and look at what I gave it. And then I'm kind of like, but that was solid. This was a 3.75. Let's see. It was a love story. It was like, kind of like a mafia love story. Like, Alex, the main male character, was definitely like a mafia type guy. And he was good. He wasn't too much of an alpha hole. However, I do think that sometimes what was portrayed in this book as his love for the female main character did come across a little bit as like justifying just a tad bit of stalking behavior, which I don't always love. Like, I've said this before, there's such like a thin line for me between like being a man and being alpha in a good way and being like alpha in a way that is kind of inexcusable and not really allowing the female main character to have her moment. Because, like, you know, I'm not going to go too far into it, but this was good. It was decent. It wasn't my favorite romance. It wasn't my favorite mafia romance, but it was definitely good. And I did like their dynamic. I just felt like it was a little bit toxic, but I am moving on with the series and I did really, really like Anna Huang's writing. So I've heard that this one is kind of like get through it and the rest of the series gets better. So 3.75, I did like it. Okay, and last but not least is where we're going to end our week. From Blood and Ash. I did pick up this book at the beginning of our 4 hours today at, I believe it was like 123 pages, I think, somewhere in that arena. And we are ending on chapter, oh wait, this is the wrong version. I didn't move. Hold on. One sec. Hold, please. We are ending on chapter 30, which in this version is page 319. I haven't moved my little bookmark, but there you go. Now I have. I've been reading it on my Kindle. So that is this much into the book. I have this little piece left. I'm probably going to finish that hopefully tomorrow. We are going on a little like getaway for a few days tomorrow with the kids. So I don't know how much time I'm going to have that I'm going to be reading, but hopefully I could finish that. I don't even know how many pages there are. Let's see. I'm on 319 and this book has like 460 pages. It's like 140 pages left. I probably can't get that done in the next couple of days, but the priority is going to be hanging with the boys. So let's go over how this week was reading 4 hours per day. So this week we were seeing how exactly, I guess, efficient would be the word. My reading would be not only, you know, like mentally and how much I was absorbing, but also how many books I could get through reading for 4 hours a day. And let's start out with like how I mentally feel. 4 hours a day is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of time to do anything. However, I didn't feel like I was in a brain fog by the end of it. I think 4 hours is my sweet spot. Like, on some days by the end of the week, it did seem to get a little bit like slightly oppressive, right? Like at the end of the day, I'd be wanting to like sit and just do like, even if it was reading, but like I'd look at my timer, I'd have like an hour and a half left or an hour left, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I've read so much today. Like my brain has taken in so much information today, but I don't think that was indicative of my reading. I think it's more indicative of the fact that I wear a lot of hats every single day, and sometimes like I am just more overstimulated and overwhelmed than other days between like mom and work and reading and YouTube and friends coming over and all this other stuff, you know, like tutoring, basketball, being an Uber, being a wife, taking care of the house, chores, grocery shopping. Like I think some days I just get a little bit more overstimulated than others. So when I get to the end of the day, a long, busy day and I have an hour more of information that I was, putting into this little noggin, I did get a little tired. But I think that's for anything. I probably was overstimulated to watch TV as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just a lot going on. You guys know how it is if you're running a household, if you're a mom and if you're a wife and all that good stuff. But I do think that 4 hours a day is definitely like a good one for me. Maybe not every single day. Maybe I need to do like 4 hours and break it up with like a 1 or a 2 hour day every here and there. I don't know that 4 hours is realistic. And if we're being honest, this was supposed to be 4 hours and 6 days, 4 hours a day for 6 days, I should say. And it's been like 4 hours a day and it took me like 9 days. Some days I almost read nothing. That was weather related. So welcome to January in the Northeast. But let's go over what I did get done efficiency wise as far as my reading. So reading 4 hours a day ended the week with me finishing 3.5 books. That is not bad. I finished Behind the Net, then went into Ruthless Vows, then went into Twisted Love, and then made it over 50% of the way through From Blood and Ash. So if I could finish 3.5 books a week for the entire month, I will be at, what is that? 3 times 4 is 12. And then another 4 books, another 2 books. So I'll be at 14 books a month, which would far surpass my 2024 reading goal of 75 books. So I think this little scientific experiment might have actually taught us something this week. And I think it was a great week of reading. So if you liked this, comment a book emoji below. It's a little unoriginal, but we like books here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. And tell me about what you've discovered or what you're thinking your sweet spot as far as hours per week or hours per day or hours per month is. Would you be able to do 4 hours a day? Because it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. So with that being said, I'm going to get going. I hope your day has been fantastic. I hope your week has been amazing. And please do all the YouTubey things like comment, subscribe. And I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.